going, everyone? I recently passed, in fact, a couple days after this video is being uploaded, I recently passed 2 years of owning my 2008 Saab 9.3 Turbo X, and I'd like to kind of make a video to just talk about my ownership experience. I want to talk about the repairs I've done, I guess the mods I've done as well, so all the work I've done on the car, some of the things I like and dislike, my future plans for the car, and just give a general overview, I guess, of the ownership experience as a whole, because this is a relatively rare car, with there only being about 600 in the US between sedans and sport combis and automatic and manual. So I figure making a comprehensive ownership video, especially with this also being a high mileage example. This car now has 187,000 miles on it, and it had 171,000 when I bought it, so I put 16,000 miles over it. But I just want to say, even though I'm not a huge fan of black cars because they're just so impossible to keep clean, the paint on this thing when it shines in the sun is absolutely gorgeous. It has like a deep purple and like a nice flake to it. It looks so good, and it just shines in the sun. I'm not sure how well that's going to get picked up on camera, but it looks fantastic. First thing on most people's mind, especially if you're a prospective buyer for a car like this, is probably maintenance costs, because you're wondering, is this car expensive to own? Is it going to be reliable? And I've had very few issues. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my maintenance sheet that I keep of all the work I've done on the car, and you'll see that while it is decently lengthy, a vast majority of this work is work that I have done by my own choice and not repairs. The only repairs that we have done, well, I guess if you count the cross-wheel drive service, I did that when I bought the car. It's probably getting close to needing another one. Cross-wheel drive service, these are all mods, oil change, mod, serpentine belt and coolant gaskets, and a new expansion tank, water pump, new battery, mod, oil change, mod, I guess, technically, although spark plugs and coil packs are something that you'll probably need to replace at some point, another oil change, and then another mod. So really the only repairs, as I just reviewed that list that I've done, you might have been able to see briefly, I didn't really show it too much in depth. Really the only repairs I've done to this car are coolant related. This car gave me headaches with coolant leaks for quite some time. It still leaks every now and then out of one of the upper hoses from the expansion tank. I'll actually show you guys. I replaced both of those hoses now, twice by the way, but they're just a notorious bad hose, I guess, on these cars. I should get the NG95 hoses, which are better, they're more insulated. But you can probably see why they go bad. You have the exhaust right here and the hose sitting right here, so you can see there is just a little bit of coolant every now and then that'll just kind of drip out of there, but it's nothing major. It's every now and then I'll notice, you know, the coolant just goes down just a little hair, but nothing major. So as a whole, as you can tell, I mean, this car, it's been reliable for me, even with the mileage, and a lot of that goes thanks to the previous owners who took great care of it and stayed on top of maintenance. Since I have the engine bay open, you can kind of tell that this is not stock. I guess I'll go ahead and talk about the modifications that are done to the car. There's a couple of them that were done before I bought the car, which I'll get to when I mention them, but I'm just going to read these off here. If you want to see the full videos on me installing these mods, I'll link the playlist for all the videos on this car up in the top corner here, and you'll be able to look at pretty much full videos on everything on this car. But the first thing that I did to the car when I got it was a Corona downpipe and Corona midpipe. This was by far the hardest job that I did, but the car sounds absolutely fantastic with this exhaust. Speaking of exhaust, the car also has a rear muffler delete. Now that was done before I got the car, so when I got it, it already had the rear muffler delete. DO88 intercooler and charge pipes were the next thing I did. You can see the charge pipes right there. Can't really see too far down in there. I mean, it's obviously very cramped in here. Of course, you got your DO88 intercooler stuck down in there. After that, I did the DO88 intake, the full intake. They have two different parts for this kit. They have like this first section right here, and then they have the whole piping that comes across to the turbo. I did that whole kit. After that, I also did the DO88 radiator hose kit. You can see one of them went bad, like I mentioned already earlier, but there's a couple of them right there. There's another one there. There's some radiator hoses under this intake pipe. You know, radiator hose. I mean, it's just a complete coolant hose kit. There's probably like 15 or so hoses that came with it. The car also has a map tune stage 3 tune on it. It also has a genuine Saab short throw shifter. This was one of the mods that was on the car when I got it. So I haven't driven this car with the stock without the short throw, but it feels stock. It's just a little bit of a shorter throw. It also has a shifter cable reinforcement, which is down there under the turbo. You can't really see. That was on there when I bought the car, as well as genuine Saab torque mount inserts, also on there when I bought the car. The car also has map tune coilovers, which again were also on the car when I bought it. So the car sits pretty low. I obviously have the wheels turned a little bit, but you can see there's not a ton of clearance up in there. It gives this car this really aggressive stance and low clearance. It looks really good with these coilovers and suspension setup. The last couple things that are done to this, if you can really call these mods, are the car has an eSID 2, which just plugs right in there to the OBD2 port. I also put a eBay roof spoiler on the car just for a little bit more aggressiveness, which I think looks really good. That's just stuck on there with some double-sided tape. There are some other things I've done too. I kind of have like a small second list here with some more recent things that have been done to the car. I have the genuine Saab oil cap right here. Nothing major, but I think it just goes so well with the DO88 aluminum piping. I have a Swedish front license plate, if you can really call that a mod. This is a genuine Swedish plate, and yes, I know this is registered to a Skoda. It used to be registered to an NG95 when the guy who owned this car and plate sent it to me. It used to be on an NG95, but yes, I am aware it's now on a Skoda, so no need to continue to comment that. And then lastly, it has an upgraded turbo. This is a 19T with upgraded internals, so it's not the stock 15T that the car comes with. So it's definitely a good amount better. I still think the car is capable of more than what it's tuned for right now, but I guess that's a topic for another video potentially. A few weeks after I got this car, I made videos talking about some of the things that I like and dislike about the car right off the bat, and I'd say 2 years later those still predominantly hold true. So I'll link those two videos up here in the top corner, but I want to start with the things that I love about the car and just go over these briefly. The first one being the looks. This car is now 12 years old, and in my opinion it doesn't look new, but it certainly doesn't look outdated. With the nav unit, which I guess is another thing I didn't mention, it does look more modern. Doesn't look like it's a car from 2020, but definitely looks more modern than a 2008 car in my opinion. One of the things I love is just the looks. I also love, I guess the aggressive looks of the car. I love this rear spoiler. It's nice and aggressive, but it's not a big like STI wing that just screams, look at me, I vape. Of course, I also love the sound. I figure since I've mentioned it now twice and you'll have to click on a different video to hear it, I'll start it up, rev it a couple times if I can find my keys and the mess of things I have in my pocket, just so that way you guys can hear it. So sounds pretty good, if I do say so myself. Definitely sounds better than the 2.093s. I think this V6 is just an amazing sounding motor, and I absolutely love it. Despite it being on these coilovers and having a relatively harsh ride, the car is still relatively comfortable, especially at stock. It's still a very comfortable ride. So that's really the biggest thing that I've always kind of harped on and loved about this car specifically, is that you can get the performance, you can get the reliability, you can get the comfort, and you can get, it's really a good like all-in-one package. You know, it's not going to be the most reliable car, it's not going to be the fastest car, but it's good at everything in my opinion. And on top of all that, it's extremely unique and rare, which for me and a lot of other people is an added bonus. And it's also very quirky for those Doug DeMuro watchers, because you know it's a Saab. Some of the things I dislike, really the biggest thing that I've always had a gripe on, and a lot of people hate the most about 9.3s in particular, is the cheap plastic. These facelifted interiors are much better because they have like these nice AC controls and the buttons. It just looks a lot cleaner to begin with. But these cheap door handles, I mean, these ones aren't too bad, but that's just me, you know, excessively playing with it. But it would have been nice to get a nicer, especially on a touch point like this, get a nicer material on here. I might get some leather door handles in the future, who knows. I guess one thing I could complain about for the cross-wheel drive 9.3s, like this one specifically, is that added maintenance cost that you have to do on the cross-wheel drive. I'm probably going to do one again here soon, especially since it's higher mileage. I'll probably do it every 15,000 miles or so. But it's just one of those added, you know, maintenance costs that you'll have to think about, especially if you get a Turbo X or if you get a cross-wheel drive 9.3. The other thing that comes with that is the weight. This car also feels this car definitely feels heavier than my 2.0 9.3 as well. That's both because of the V6 motor and also because of the cross-wheel drive, which I think adds 200 to 300 pounds. I'm not sure exactly how much, but you can definitely feel it when you're driving the car. But this car obviously makes a lot more power and torque than the 2.0, so in my opinion it's worth it in the end. Only 9 a.m. here, but it's already extremely hot out. I'm gonna hop in the car for the duration of this video. But really the last thing that I want to talk about here are just my future plans for the car. And mainly, I mean, I don't really have much. I've done most of what I want to do to the car already. So I just jotted a couple things down here before I started filming this video. Just a couple things I thought of off the top of my head. One of the big things, like I mentioned, are something like door handles, or maybe just extra carbon pieces that you can get, like carbon mirror caps would be cool. Another thing is an aftermarket head unit. I've talked about how I really like this OEM look, but if I could get something with Apple CarPlay, that would be absolutely fantastic. I would love that. And as long as it looks OEM, like I don't want a big like Kenwood logo on my head unit. I just want something that looks OEM. That's really my big thing. Another thing, also maybe a different tune and injectors or a fuel pump. That's not something I'll do anytime soon. I'm just gonna sit with this setup for a while now, but maybe down the road, who knows, I'll dump some money into injectors and a fuel pump and go even, I guess, crazier with this and see what we can really do. And then maybe down the road when it needs brakes, maybe I'll do a brake upgrade. There's not much that you can really upgrade from this setup. I mean, you could do the Brembos, but the Brembos kit comes with the 315 millimeter rotors. These are 345s, so I wouldn't want to downgrade the rotor size unless I can get 345 rotors with the Brembos. Then that's, I guess, the best of both worlds would be the easiest way to do it. Another thing a couple people have done are the CTS V6 piston brakes. Now that would be ideally like the goal, but I know that those are a lot of work and I don't know if I really want to go through all that work. So I guess we'll see. That's a topic for way down the road. I mean, something that realistically might not even happen. But with that being said, that really wraps up my 2-year ownership video of this car. If you have any questions about the car itself or anything really, leave them down below in the comments. I'll do the best I can to answer it. For you other Turbo X owners, if you're watching, leave your ownership experience down below in the comments for those prospective buyers as well looking to buy. But with that being said, that's it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.